Jack adjusted the collar of his uniform as the shimmering gates of the palace slid open, revealing a pair of radiant, identical figures. The twins, Zari and Kiro, stepped forward with synchronized elegance, their iridescent skin reflecting the light in a kaleidoscope of colors. Jack hesitated. He'd faced pirates, hostile aliens, and interstellar warlords, but nothing prepared him for this assignment, babysitting two royal aliens who seemed determined to bend the definition of professional boundaries. "Lieutenant Cross," Zari purred, her voice like honey, "you're even more robust than the dossier suggested." Kiro grinned. "Yes, excellent. Sturdy. Reliable. And your jawline, very symmetrical. Humans take such care in construction." Jack's brow furrowed. Thanks. It's just genetics, I guess." The twins exchanged delighted looks, as if he'd just revealed an ancient secret. "Genetics," Kiro mused, testing the word. "Fascinating. Humans are so full of surprises." Jack tried to keep a neutral expression as the twins moved closer, uncomfortably closer. Zari reached out to trace a finger along his shoulder, while Kiro leaned in from the other side, inspecting him like a rare artifact. "We'll have to share him," Zari declared matter-of-factly. "Obviously," Kiro replied, his tone equally casual. Jack stepped back, raising a hand. "Whoa, hold on. What exactly does sharing mean?" Zari tilted her head. "Oh, don't be modest. It's quite normal. As twins, we share everything, our kingdom, our meals, our most prized possessions." Jack's stomach dropped. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." "Don't worry," Kiro interrupted. "We'll make it comfortable for you. Sharing isn't meant to be stressful. It's a sacred tradition." Jack blinked. "Right. Sacred. Of course." He muttered under his breath, "What the hell did I sign up for?" The palace staff, all equally iridescent and unnervingly synchronized, led Jack to his quarters. The room was grand, too grand. A bed large enough for a small army, a glowing pool that apparently served as a bath, and, were those vines hanging from the ceiling? Before he could process it, the twins burst in unannounced. "Your chambers are adequate, yes?" Zari asked, already rearranging the cushions on his couch. Jack frowned. "Privacy isn't a thing here, is it?" "Privacy?" Kiro repeated, as if the word was foreign. "Why would you need privacy? You're with us now." "Right, but humans usually, have personal space." The twins exchanged puzzled glances before Zari shrugged. "We'll adjust. You may have your privacy, for at least an hour each day." Jack sighed. Generous. Later, during a royal briefing, the twins' fascination with Jack escalated. Kiro handed him a strange, glowing fruit. "Eat this. It will make you stronger." Jack inspected the fruit suspiciously. "What's in it?" "Energy. Vitality. Pheromonal enhancement," Zari explained with a sly smile. "Pharaoh, what?" "No thanks, I'm good." "But it's part of the bonding process." Kiro protested. "You must trust us, Bodyguard." Jack leaned back in his chair. "Trust goes both ways. And I don't need anything that glows." The twins laughed, a harmonious sound that somehow felt both charming and ominous. "Humans are so amusing," Zari said. "You're cautious yet so open. It's delightful." "Yeah, hilarious," Jack muttered, pinching the bridge of his nose. Things took a stranger turn when Zari and Kiro began competing for Jack's attention. During a tour of the palace, Zari clung to his arm, pointing out the intricate murals on the walls. "This depicts our ancestors' greatest triumphs. Look at the detail." Kiro, not to be outdone, grabbed Jack's other arm. "But over here, we have the Hall of Unity. It's far more significant." Jack, stuck between them, tried to free his arms. "I can't protect either of you if I'm pinned like this." "Oh, nonsense," Zari said. "You're perfectly mobile." Aren't humans known for their adaptability? I didn't sign up to be a tug-of-war rope, Jack grumbled. By the time they reached the dining hall, Jack was exhausted. But the twins were relentless. As they sat down to eat, Zari leaned toward Jack with a conspiratorial whisper. You must tell us, do humans prefer their bonding rituals formal or spontaneous? Jack choked on his drink. We don't have bonding rituals. At least, not like yours. Kiro looked genuinely shocked. How tragic. No wonder humans are so volatile. Zari nodded solemnly. We'll have to teach you. Bonding is essential for harmony. Jack set his glass down. I'm pretty sure harmony isn't what you're aiming for. The twins laughed again, but their laughter was cut short by the sudden arrival of a news drone. The small, hovering device zoomed in on Jack, Zari, and Kiro, snapping photos and broadcasting live to who knows where. What's that thing doing here? Jack asked, already on edge. Zari waved it off. Oh, just a harmless gossip drone. It's normal. Jack's gut told him otherwise. He could already imagine the headlines, * royal twins and their human protector, a scandalous bond. *. Kiro noticed Jack's expression and patted his shoulder reassuringly. Don't worry, Lieutenant. Sharing you will only increase your value in the eyes of the galaxy. Jack buried his face in his hands. This is going to bite me in the ass, isn't it? The twins grinned, their synchronized amusement only making Jack's headache worse. Oh, Lieutenant, Zari said, we haven't even begun. Jack woke up to chaos. His comm device buzzed non-stop, flashing messages he wasn't prepared to deal with. Phrases like * royal twins scandal, human involved? * and * exclusive footage of bonding gone too far. * filled the feeds. Jack groaned, scrubbing his face with his hands. He'd been on alien planets before, but none had managed to make him feel this much like an intergalactic meme. The door to his quarters slid open, without warning, of course, and in marched Zari and Kiro, radiating their usual confidence. They looked entirely unbothered, as if being the center of a galaxy-wide scandal was just another Tuesday. Good morning, Lieutenant. Zari chirped. Kiro added, You've been trending all night. Congratulations. Jack sat up, glaring. Trending? This isn't an achievement. What the hell did you two do? Zari tilted her head, feigning innocence. We merely greeted you in accordance with our customs. How are we supposed to know the drones would find it so captivating? Captivating? They think you're... Jack stopped himself, shaking his head. Never mind. What are you even doing here? To cheer you up, Kiro said, as if it were obvious. Jack stared. Cheer me up? By doing what? Starting another scandal? Don't be dramatic, Zari said, waving her hand. We've decided to clarify the misunderstanding. We've drafted a statement to assure everyone that our bond with you is entirely professional. Kiro smirked. Mostly professional. Jack groaned. I hate this job. Before he could protest further, the twins were already shoving a holographic display in his face. The statement they'd prepared was short but packed with the kind of double meanings that only made things worse. * Lieutenant Jack Cross is an integral part of our unity. As royal twins, we are accustomed to sharing what we cherish most, and he is no exception. His strength and loyalty are deeply valued, and we will continue to honor him in ways that reflect our traditions. * Jack pointed at the screen. Are you serious? This sounds like a confession, not a clarification. Zari pouted. You're so critical. It's perfectly clear to anyone who understands our culture. Kiro nodded. Exactly. The problem isn't us, it's the galaxy's ignorance. Right, Jack muttered. The galaxy's the problem. Not the two of you dragging me into your bizarre bonding rituals. The twins exchanged a glance, then turned back to him with identical mischievous smiles. Perhaps we should demonstrate the bonding process publicly, Zari suggested. No, Jack said immediately. But it could help dispel the rumors. Kiro argued. No. Just a short demonstration. No. Jack stood, throwing his hands up. Listen, I'm already a laughingstock in half the galaxy. The last thing I need is to be paraded around as your personal, whatever this is. Zari and Kiro looked genuinely offended. You're not a laughingstock, Zari said. You're admired. Revered, even. Yeah, for all the wrong reasons. Jack snapped. Do you have any idea what the tabloids are saying? They think I don't even want to repeat it. Kiro shrugged. What does it matter? Let them talk. It only makes you more interesting. Jack pinched the bridge of his nose. I don't want to be interesting. I want to do my job without being the subject of every interstellar gossip column. Zari stepped closer, her expression softening. Jack, we didn't mean to cause you distress. We only wanted to include you. You're important to us. Kiro nodded. Very important. Jack looked between them, torn between frustration and something he didn't want to name. Their sincerity was disarming, even when it came wrapped in chaos. Look, he said finally, I get that this is normal for you, but humans, we don't operate like this. We have boundaries. Lines you don't cross. Zari tilted her head. Boundaries? Lines? Kiro echoed, clearly puzzled. Yes. Like, personal space. Privacy. Not sharing people like their property. The twins exchanged another glance, their confusion deepening. But sharing isn't about ownership, Zari said. It's about connection. Balance. Exactly, Kiro agreed. You're not a possession, you're a bondmate. Jack's eyes widened. Bondmate? What the hell does that mean? Zari smiled. It's an honorary title. A mark of trust and mutual respect. Kiro added, and exclusivity. We don't share bondmates with just anyone. Jack threw his hands up. That's not better. Do you even hear yourselves? Before the argument could escalate further, Jack's comm device buzzed again. He glanced at the screen and groaned. It was his superior officer. Great, he muttered. Now I get to explain this mess to command. Zari and Kiro watched as he answered the call. The voice on the other end was sharp and unforgiving. Lieutenant Cross, care to explain why you're the center of an intergalactic media storm? Jack sighed. It's a cultural misunderstanding, sir. I'm handling it. You'd better, the voice replied. Because if this goes any further, you'll be handling it without a career. The call ended, leaving Jack with a sinking feeling in his gut. He turned back to the twins, who were watching him with a mix of concern and curiosity. Happy now? He asked. Zari stepped forward, placing a hand on his arm. Jack, we had no idea this would affect you so deeply. We'll fix it. We promise. Kiro nodded. We'll find a way to make this right. Jack sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Yeah, well, try not to make it worse in the process. The twins smiled, their determination evident. You have our word, Zari said. Jack wasn't sure whether to feel reassured or terrified. Jack paced the grand hall, trying to process the absurdity of his situation. The scandal had escalated far beyond his control, with dignitaries from across the galaxy chiming in about the bonding controversy. Some called it progressive, others denounced it as indecent, and a few alien commentators were even selling merchandise with his face on it. He caught sight of one particularly damning holographic image, Zari clinging to his arm while Kiro leaned in close, all three of them glowing under the palace's ethereal lighting. How is this my life? He muttered, just as the twins entered, brimming with their usual enthusiasm. Lieutenant. Zari called out, her tone annoyingly cheerful. We've found the perfect solution. Jack's stomach sank. No. No more solutions. Every time you two fix something, it gets worse. Kiro waved off his concerns. Nonsense. This time, we've consulted with experts. They assure us that transparency is the key to quelling the gossip. Transparency? Jack repeated skeptically. Zari nodded. Yes. We'll host a public bonding ceremony to show everyone how honorable our traditions truly are. Once they see how meaningful it is, the scandal will disappear. Jack stared at them in disbelief. A bonding ceremony? Public? Are you insane? Kiro looked genuinely confused. Why would that be insane? It's the perfect opportunity to showcase our culture. And you'll be the star. I don't want to be the star. Jack snapped. I want to be invisible. Anonymous. Not the face of your weird alien customs. Zari placed a soothing hand on his shoulder. Jack, we understand that this is outside your comfort zone, but think of the bigger picture. This is about unity, about bridging the gap between our species. Jack brushed her hand off. Don't turn this into some noble mission. This is about damage control, and you know it. Kiro crossed his arms, his expression turning stubborn. You're being dramatic. It's not as if we're asking you to do anything unreasonable. Jack laughed bitterly. Oh, really? Because I'm pretty sure a public bonding ceremony falls squarely under unreasonable. Zari sighed. Lieutenant, you're making this harder than it needs to be. All we're asking is for you to stand with us, say a few words, and let the galaxy see the strength of our bond. Jack threw his hands up. Strength of our bond? Do you even hear yourselves? You're talking like we're in some kind of relationship. The twins exchanged a glance, their expressions unreadable. Then Zari said softly, but isn't that what we are, in a way? A partnership? A connection built on trust and mutual respect? Jack froze, caught off guard by the sincerity in her tone. He searched for a rebuttal, but Kiro cut in before he could speak. You protect us, Kiro said, his voice unusually serious. You've stood by us despite the chaos. Isn't that the essence of a bond? Support, loyalty, and shared purpose? Jack rubbed the back of his neck, suddenly feeling like the bad guy for resisting. Look, he said finally, I get what you're trying to do. But this ceremony, it's too much. Can't we handle this more quietly? Zari shook her head. The galaxy doesn't value quiet resolutions. They need grand gestures, something to talk about. This will work, Jack. Trust us. Jack sighed heavily. Fine. But if this blows up in our faces, I'm blaming both of you. The twins beamed, their enthusiasm returning full force. Excellent. Zari said. We'll start preparations immediately. Preparations? Jack repeated, alarm bells ringing in his head. What kind of preparations? Kiro grinned. Oh, just the usual, ceremonial attire, a brief rehearsal, and maybe a few surprises. Nothing too complicated. Jack groaned. I'm already regretting this. Over the next few hours, Jack was subjected to what could only be described as royal torture. The ceremonial attire turned out to be a flowing, shimmering robe that clung to him in all the wrong places. Kiro insisted on adding a crown-like headpiece, which Jack yanked off the moment no one was looking. Then came the rehearsal, which involved a series of elaborate gestures and phrases that made Jack feel like he was in a bad stage play. Zari and Kiro corrected him at every turn, their patience wearing thin as he struggled to keep up. Humans have such poor coordination, Zari muttered after his third failed attempt at the ceremonial bow. Jack glared at her. Sorry if I didn't grow up practicing alien choreography. Kiro laughed. Don't be so sensitive, Lieutenant. You're doing adequately. Jack rolled his eyes. Glad to know I'm meeting your high standards. By the time the actual ceremony began, Jack was running on fumes. The grand hall was packed with dignitaries, reporters, and curious onlookers, all eager to witness the spectacle. Jack stood between the twins, trying to ignore the dozens of cameras trained on him. Zari stepped forward, her voice ringing out confidently. Today, we celebrate a bond that transcends species and cultures. Lieutenant Jack Cross has become more than a protector, he is a symbol of unity and strength. Kiro followed suit, his tone equally grandiose. Through our bond, we demonstrate the power of connection, the importance of trust, and the beauty of shared purpose. Jack tried not to cringe as the crowd erupted in applause. He kept his expression neutral, silently praying for the ceremony to end. Then, to his horror, Zari and Kiro turned to him expectantly. "Your turn, Lieutenant," Zari whispered. Jack cleared his throat, feeling every pair of eyes in the room on him. Yeah. What they said. The twins shot him identical looks of exasperation, but the crowd laughed, apparently charmed by his awkwardness. As the ceremony concluded, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from over. The twins were beaming, the crowd was buzzing, and the cameras had captured every second of the event. "See?" Zari said, linking her arm with his as they exited the hall. "That wasn't so bad." Jack sighed. "You owe me for this. Big time." Kiro laughed, clapping him on the back. "Don't worry, Lieutenant. We'll find a way to repay you. Eventually." Jack groaned. "That's what I'm afraid of." The aftermath of the ceremony was chaos. The galaxy, true to its nature, didn't calm down, it exploded with new theories, analysis, and wild speculation. Jack had barely made it back to his quarters before his comm device started buzzing with notifications. He muted it instantly. No way was he subjecting himself to another round of alien tabloids dissecting his every move. He barely had a moment to breathe before the twins barged in, once again ignoring the concept of knocking. "Lieutenant!" Zari called out, her voice practically singing. Jack groaned, slumping further into his chair. "What now? Haven't you two done enough damage for one day?" Kiro grinned, entirely unbothered by Jack's sarcasm. "Quite the opposite. We've made progress. Have you seen the new headlines? Public sentiment has shifted in our favor." Jack leaned back, glaring at them. "Yeah? And what's the new spin?" "Let me guess, human bodyguard officially claimed by alien royalty?" Zari laughed, though her tone carried an edge of mischief. "Close. It's more along the lines of the most eligible human in the galaxy." Jack stared at her, his expression deadpan. "You're kidding." Kiro pulled up a holographic display, showing a news feed dominated by Jack's face. One headline read, "Lieutenant Cross, a galactic sensation," while another blared, "Asterisk from soldier to icon, how one human won the hearts of royalty." Asterisk. "This isn't progress," Jack said flatly. "This is a nightmare." "Oh, don't be so dramatic," Zari replied, sitting gracefully on the edge of his desk. "This attention is good for you. It raises your status. You're practically a celebrity now." Jack pinched the bridge of his nose. "I didn't sign up for this. I'm supposed to protect you, not be your accessory." Kiro frowned, crossing his arms. "You're not an accessory. You're an integral part of this partnership." Jack shot him a look. "Yeah, well, this partnership is making my life hell." Zari leaned closer, her tone softening. "Jack, we didn't mean for things to get out of hand." "Truly. But you have to admit, the ceremony went well. The galaxy sees us as united now, and that unity is important." "Important for you," Jack countered. "Not for me. I'm just the guy caught in the middle." Kiro stepped forward, his expression unusually serious. "You're more than that. You've become part of something bigger. Whether you realize it or not, you're helping to change perceptions across the galaxy." Jack sighed, shaking his head. "I didn't ask to be part of some cultural revolution. I just wanted to do my job, keep you two safe, and maybe, just maybe, have a quiet life." Zari smiled, her eyes sparkling with amusement. "Quiet lives are overrated. Besides, you thrive in chaos. You're just too stubborn to admit it." Jack opened his mouth to argue, but before he could, the palace alarms blared. The sound was sharp and jarring, cutting through the room like a knife. "What now?" Jack muttered, already on his feet. A palace guard appeared in the doorway, their expression tense. "Your Highnesses, Lieutenant, we have an intruder. They've breached the outer defenses and are demanding an audience." Jack immediately snapped into soldier mode. "What kind of intruder? Armed?" The guard hesitated. "Not armed, but aggressive. They claim to be a representative of the Galactic Tabloid Association." Jack's jaw dropped. "You've got to be kidding me. A tabloid sent someone to storm the palace?" "It appears so," the guard replied. Zari and Kiro exchanged amused looks. "This is unprecedented," Zari said. "Bold, even," Kiro added. Jack threw up his hands. "Bold? It's insane. What kind of galaxy are we living in?" Before he could stop them, the twins turned to the guard. "Bring them in," Zari ordered. Jack stepped forward, his voice sharp. "What? No. That's a terrible idea." Kiro waved him off. "Relax, Lieutenant. We can handle this. Besides, it's not every day a tabloid representative has the courage to face us directly." Jack groaned as the guard left to fetch the intruder. "You two are going to be the death of me, I swear." Moments later, a small, wiry alien was escorted into the room. They were covered in glittering scales and held a data pad with a death grip. Their eyes darted nervously between Jack and the twins before settling on the latter. "Your Highnesses," the alien began, bowing deeply. "I am Galrix, lead correspondent for Scandalsphere Weekly. I come with questions that the galaxy demands answers to." Jack crossed his arms, already dreading where this was going. "This ought to be good." Galrix straightened, their expression determined. "The bonding ceremony has sparked unprecedented interest. The galaxy wants to know, is the human bodyguard your chosen mate?" Jack nearly choked. "What? No." The twins, however, didn't immediately deny it. Zari tilted her head, considering the question. "Chosen mate. That's an interesting way to phrase it." Jack glared at her. "Don't encourage this." Kiro grinned. "Technically, the bond does imply exclusivity, which could be interpreted as..." "Nope," Jack interrupted, cutting him off. "We're not doing this. The answer is no. End of story." Galrix scribbled furiously on their data pad, ignoring Jack entirely. "Fascinating. So, the bond is exclusive but not romantic. Or perhaps it's a cultural nuance humans fail to grasp." Jack threw his hands up. "Why does everything have to be about romance? Can't I just be the guy doing his job without being dragged into royal drama?" Zari smirked. "Oh, Jack. You're so delightfully human." Galrix looked up, their scales shimmering with excitement. "One last question, will there be more bonding ceremonies in the future?" "No," Jack said firmly. "Perhaps," Zari said at the same time. Jack turned to her, exasperated. "Zari." She shrugged innocently. "What?" "It's not entirely off the table." Kiro chuckled, clapping Jack on the back. "Relax, Lieutenant. Think of it as an adventure." Jack sighed, his shoulders sagging. "I need a drink." As Galrix was escorted out, clearly thrilled with their scoop, Jack slumped back into his chair. The twins stood on either side of him, their expressions smug. "You handled that well," Zari said. Jack glared at her. "Don't patronize me." Kiro grinned. "Admit it, Lieutenant. You're starting to enjoy this." Jack didn't dignify that with a response. He simply closed his eyes and muttered, "I really need that drink."